Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards. It is Friday, March 24th. Hope you've had a good week. I'm going to show two cards in this video. Both of them are vintage. One of them's a little more than vintage. I'm excited to show them both to you here, and so we'll give it a whirl. All right, we're back. I just got a new cell phone this week, and this is my first video with a Pixel. I switched from a Samsung Galaxy to a Pixel, and the video functionality is different, and I'm finding not as good. So, but either way, we're recording. So again, I'm going to show two quick cards here. Like I said, both of them are vintage. I'm just going to get right to it, and I think you're going to find the first one interesting here, in that this card is playing second fiddle in this video, and it is my second Mickey Mantle. It's a 1961 Topps Mickey Mantle. This arrived about a week ago. I wasn't really planning to get it. I was actually looking at 1967 and 63 mantles a little bit, and then saw this one in eBay auction listings and kind of just popped up. And what drew me to this one was the image overall, right around his face and the background. There's very little snow, and his face is in pretty good shape overall in terms of, wear or creases or anything like that. It's pretty nice in that regard. Now, it does have issues otherwise. Very off center left, as you could see, and it's got two notable creases, although one of them is really hard to see on the front. It's in this corner. You can sort of see it there. You can more easily see it on the back, right on the number. Right there, you can see, kind of right there. And then there's one other crease that is on the top of the card, and it does cut into the paper just a little bit right here. But it's like right at the top there a little bit. It's not like extreme though. So overall, I thought this was an auction worth getting into, and I ended up winning it. So I have my second Mickey Mantle. I have not been picking up much lately. Been not necessarily being judicious, but just not really finding all that interesting stuff, and I'm just sort of taking a pause a little bit on buying lately. So, but what I have picked up here, these two cards, they're not small buys, but they're not gigantic either. But really happy to add the 61 Mantle to the collection. Like I said, my second one. Of course, I'm going to send it in for grading. Hoping it can get a 2.5. That's what I'm aiming for on that one. I don't think it has a chance at a 3 because it does have two creases in it. Although one of them is close to the corner, I still think a 3 is probably not possible. Plus, it's also got that little mark right there, that little nick. But let's move on to the second card I picked up. It just arrived yesterday. And, as you can tell from the title of my video, you know what it is. And from the, maybe from the screen grab kind of preview photo out on the video too. But so we'll just trot it out here. This is my first T206. Finally took the plunge, got my first one. Let's see if we can get a better light here. This player, and I'll tell you why I got this player here. This player's name is Pat Moran. Pat Moran, a backup catcher on the 1907 and 1908 Chicago Cub World Championship teams. So he played with Tinker, Evers, and Chance. He was behind the plate catching Three-Finger Brown on occasion, I would think. Maybe he wasn't every day, or every time he was on the mound, but I imagine he caught him every so often. So that is kind of cool. First of all, real quick about the card itself, condition-wise, actually, I'll go into why I actually looked for this player in a bit. So there's one tiny crease. It's not big. And it actually is very hard to pick up on here. It is coming. It's like right over here, and it just kind of goes into the lettering of National. That's about it in terms of creases on this card. Maybe you can sort of see it right there. It's off-center top and a little left, and that's the two main issues of the card. There's, it's got the little bit of a mark right over here, kind of a dark mark on the yellow there. A stain, probably a tobacco stain, which obviously it's going to have a lot of these cards. I'll show you the back really quick. If you saw the screen grab, you know what it is already, but it is a sovereign back. So I'm going to move Mantle off to the side just a little bit, or at least off for now so we can get this in focus. So this card, anyway, I wanted to do my due diligence before I finally took the plunge and got one, a T206. So I kind of did the requisite reading, primarily of the backs. I believe there are 16 backs. And for those who might not be that familiar with T206s, roughly 50% or so have been found or known to be the Piedmont back, which is by far the most common. About 50%, maybe even a little more. And then second most backs are for Sweet Capital. Sweet Capital probably ranges from probably roughly about 20%, maybe even a little higher, 15 to 25%, somewhere in that range, I would say, depending probably on the player. But so together, those two brands are easily 2/3 and maybe even up to 70 or above 70% of the card backs for T206, which was printed over the parts of 3 years, so 1909 to 11, I believe. One of the all-time sets. It's the the Hannes Wagner set, so to speak, before he had his card pulled. So it's really cool to just have one of these, and there are a lot of them out there actually, which I find very interesting. That's probably because there's so many of them. I think the number was 500, over 520 T206 players, or some were pictured multiple times. But there are that many distinct cards, and then if you multiply that by all the backs, the variety is endless, which for some or for many is part of the appeal. But I think this very well could be my only T206 I ever get. Once I sort of dove into it and sort of was just looking at more of the cards, and and I've always looked at them from time to time, but it's like they're very cool. The history is amazing with them. There's part of me that doesn't love this particular set. The T205 set, on the other hand, which came out shortly after this, that's a different story. That one, I could see myself picking up a couple of cards in the future. And I might actually have something like that on my mind as I peruse the aisles of the National this summer. They have the gold borders, and they have the team logo in the top left corner for the players, which is just really cool for a card, well over a century old, that they kind of incorporate that kind of look on cards back then, on the tobacco cards. But these are obviously classic, and I love having this one, and I love that he's got Chicago on his jersey with the Cubs logo at the time there, see on his cap. So it's got like the logo stuff, of the time, which I actually really like about this. And so I will real quick about why I got this particular player. So a couple of months ago, I think did a video response, a VR, for, I believe it was 4-leaf cards. And if I have the content creator wrong there, I apologize. But he was asking for other card collectors, other hobbyists, to talk about cards they have of players who share the same birthday with them. So I did that. And when I was on Baseball Reference looking up that list of players for my birthday, I saw this person on there, Pat Moran. And I noticed that he played, I can't remember the number of years now, but I think it was like over 10 years, like maybe even 14 years he may have played. He played with the Cubs primarily, and then he also played with the Phillies. He later played with the Philadelphia Phillies. And like I said, he was on 2 World Series championship teams. I think he's recognized on Baseball Reference for only one of those, though he played in both of those seasons for those Cub teams. But eventually he, like I said, went to the Phillies. And in some ways, he is actually more known as a manager. So he is, and this is why I really got kind of intrigued by this guy. His same birthday, which is cool. He could quite possibly be the most unknown / forgotten successful manager in baseball history. You can make the case for that. he is the first manager. He was the first manager to take 2 different teams to the World Series. Pretty cool stat. He took the 1915 Phillies to the World Series, won the National League pennant. Some say he had apparently it's gone down in the annals that he really had a reputation for developing pitchers. And the Phillies owner at the time apparently credited Pat Moran for developing Grover Cleveland Alexander, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Pretty cool compliment there. They didn't win that World Series, but he soon after, a couple of years later, actually I think it was in his first year managing the team, managing his next team, he was also the manager of the 1919 Cincinnati Reds, and that team went on to win the World Series, as most or all of you know. They're the team that beat the Black Sox, Chicago White Sox, in the 19 series. And, did those 8 players throw the series? They probably did, at least to some degree. Who knows? It's hard to say, but it's probably a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. But in the end, the Reds won the World Series, and this guy managed them. So I thought that was pretty cool. He managed them for a few more years, and out of his 9 total seasons managing, he only had 2 losing seasons. And by the way, I should have said this at the beginning, I'm crediting all this kind of fact stuff to Society for American Baseball Research, SABR's website. They have a really cool bio of this guy, Pat Moran, so I'm going to drop a link to that bio in the description of this video. So I was at the end of the story here real quick. He died at a really young age, sadly, in like 1924 or 25. He was only in his like late 40s, mid to late 40s, like 47 maybe it was, if I remember seeing right. I didn't look it up right before I turned it on. I looked at it last week. So he a short, very successful managing career that ended all too soon. And again with this back, I actually made the purchase for this on St. Patrick's Day, which was interesting, and the green colored back for Sovereign. Thought that was kind of neat for a player like Pat Moran. You can almost imagine a pub somewhere named Patty Moran's. That'd be a great place to have a pint. Anyway, little digression there, but just wanted to show this card. Happy to have my first T206. Like I said, might be my only T206, but who knows? T205s, probably will be a couple of those in my future. But happy to go down the, well, I'm not going to make that pun, but I am glad to be down that road, so to speak, and dabbling in tobacco cards. So, and see if I can get the glare off the Mick here, and also super happy, super psyched to get my second Mickey Mantle. So both of these will get graded here in the next few weeks. I'm going to send in what's looking like to be a 12-card submission in a couple of weeks to SGC. These 2 will be part of it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.